G'day everyone, welcome to Life on the Hulls. It's a big week this one. I got in and did all of the filleting on my starboard side and then snuck away for an afternoon and had an absolute ball, and there's a lot of that in the middle of this video, and then I get back to cutting the cloth ready for the tabbing in the next episode. So welcome back, and here we go.
So it's one step forward, 3 steps back. I've got to pull all these bulkheads and all these modules out so that I can get to the bulkheads underneath to get them filleted in. And what I'm planning to do is remove this bulkhead out, get it up into my factory unit so I can work on the plywood version of it, because that's still MDF. And then I'm going to start filleting all of the starboard side in to make sure that I've got them all ready to glass. So what I want is a clean run. I want to be able to go right through the whole hulls, all the way across the front, across the bridge deck, and then back down, glassing them all in as I go in one foul swoop so that I'm not doubling up on my effort. So I've now lifted that bulkhead out. I'm going to have to make sure that I get this line. You see I put these little locating arrows here. I'm going to actually draw a line down it before I remove it, because that's the scarf line, and I've got to make sure I get that exactly right for when I put it back in. Time to turn my attention to the forward bow here. I'm going to get in here and sand this out right from there, because the crush bulkhead goes in right there. Obviously there's a flat section there because that's a buoyant chamber in there. What I've got to do is sand it out so that it can be all flow coated out and tidied up before putting the lid on, and then the bulkhead can be filleted, and then I'll tab it with the glass, and then she's done forever. Oh, the project claims another victim. I just blew up my shop vac. Honestly, it actually exploded, and bloody smoke everywhere, friggin' flame out of the top of it. I just don't think it can handle the crap that I'm putting in it, all the dust. But had to go and buy another one. I mean, really, I'm trying to buy quality all the time, but you can't go past these things. 4-year warranty. If it dies, you take it back and they exchange it. You know, it's quite unbelievable. I just don't know how they make money, to be honest. And it's reasonably cheap. This one's got that power on, power off function, or I could plug another tool into it. So I think this one's going to be a little bit more serviceable. And just have to be careful it doesn't fall into the mould, because that's ultimately what killed the other one, I think, is the drop. Anyway, here we are. New shop vac. Going to have to get that ready, because I've got to clean up, because I've got dust everywhere. I love the way these companies make these things so shite and briny, or so bright and shiny. You know, it's going to get absolutely smashed. I don't really see the benefit in making something so bloody cosmetically appealing. It's a vacuum, for God's sake. You know, I'm pretty practical. I just like something to work. I don't care what it looks like. I mean, if I'm paying for the look, then I'm sorry, they've lost me. And it looks like I'm going to need a degree to put it together. Look at the inside of this thing. Well, I know we've all bought it, but couldn't have enough bits in it. Unbelievable. Look, I know I've got to take them out of here, but until I can get some help and until I've got family around, there's no point, so I'll just sort of battle on my own. I've got to move these 2 modules all the way back here and sit them on these platforms here so that I can access all the bilge along this line. Got to do all the underfloor bulkheads and then the water tank. So very, very important that I get these mothers out of the way. So it's taken a bit of mucking around. I've gotten rid of all the non-essential stuff. I'll just move these modules back onto these platforms here, and then I'll be able to access underneath, get in and do it all in one day. That'll be the goal for today and tomorrow. Something to consider here, before I go lifting all of these modules out, I've actually taken photographs of in here. And the reason why I've done that is so that I know the parameters I've got to work with to put conduits, air conditioning duct, anything I need, plumbing. And very important, I've got a file kept separate with all of the photos of where I can actually mount stuff, because once I put them in, I don't want to have to go and try to reroute cables and things. I want to try and put in as big a conduits as I can get to be able to feed all my services through. It's taken a lot of thinking. I've pretty much down to 250mm conduits and then some plumbing lines, and that way I'll be able to just feed stuff through with a leader. See what I'm getting at here, under here, there's not a lot of wiggle room for services, but there's just enough there to fit probably two, maybe a 50mm pipe, maybe another 40mm pipe, and then down in here, virtually nothing. So you've got to be pretty careful you don't do yourself a disservice here. I want to try and run my electrics way above the waterline, so the electrics will be up here, plumbing likely to be under the floor, which makes sense. Doesn't matter if it gets wet, but I want to keep my electricals dry, so they'll be up along this chamfer panel and right in this cavity here. So sitting, I've also drawn lines along here to know exactly where they fit as well, because I've still got to reinforce these with a bit of foam, so I'm going to lose a little bit of space as well.
So all of the bulkheads need to be taken outside and get my roller sander, and I scuff up the outside of it even after removing the peel ply. It still should be lightly sanded. Now you can see me using the roller sander here on the edge of the bulkheads. Now these are a 20mm bulkhead, and you can see I've actually coved the foam inside the two layers of glass. Now the reason why I do that is to increase the surface area of the sea light, the bedding resin that I use. Now it also is very worthwhile removing any sort of dags with the roller sander and any impurities, and that's why the peel ply is on there to maintain the surface there, giving it a light sand, and it's only a very light sand, but it reveals an almost perfectly flat finish. So once these are taken back to the hull, I then clean and sand clean the area that it's going to match, and then I'm catalysing this sea light at 2% because I want it to set pretty quickly, but I'm also aiming for a little bit of time to get a reasonable fillet there with the radius of a tongue depressor, and essentially it was a bit of an awkward one, this one on the front bulkhead, because I had to lean over the front to get right down into the base of it, and I continued on with the bulkheading and the tabbing all the way through and completed pretty much all of them, including the water tank, and do a subsequent cut later on with a jigsaw. But yeah, all in all, this process went pretty smoothly, just like it did on the port side, and I'm very happy to announce that I have completed the filleting of the bulkheads. Now the next day I came to clean up the fillets, and I found that the Dremel tool with the little barrel sander was the perfect size to tidy these fillets up. You simply run it over a couple of times and it'd be as smooth as. So I found that was the perfect tool for this job. Sometimes you just find the right tool. It does actually make a bit of a mess, but certainly worthwhile using that. And you do go through quite a few of those little sanding discs. Now the limber holes and all the bulkheads are going to need a fair bit of attention. They'll need to be sealed with a thickened epoxy and then glass over prior to me finishing the whole bulkheads with either an internal paint or a flow coat. But it takes a little bit of work doing these limber holes, but it's important that they are cleaned up properly.
Just driven up to Sydney, going to meet our mate Ron for a afternoon sail. There's a race on down here, it's a Seawind Cup, so we're down at Balmain Wharf, so we're going to get on his 1160 and go for a sail. And just met Janet, she's finished work for the day, so it's all good. We're off. Oh cool, there's other people here, which is good. Yeah. You right? Did you get on with your pencil skirt? It's always an interesting look, Dan. Oh, conditions are that challenging, John. We've decided to do a sail change. It's fine, mate. We've already embarrassed ourselves, haven't we, honey? When are you buying one of them?
Bugger all this winding things, though, don't it?
Sorry?
Bugger all this winding stuff up. Let's just go somewhere.
Let's just go to Fiji with the motor.
Fingers not be like that. Like this. The snow should not be overlapping.
How good is this? Sydney Harbour jam. Here we go, got moon glider over here.
Everyone want to grab the water. Another race and we'll be going down the Clark by now.
Yeah. About 5 minutes from start here, eh, Johnny? Seawind Club Arvo. What an afternoon. Cracker. We're all lining up. Check this out. Sydney Harbour Bridge, the coat hanger. Fort Denison over here. Start line sort of in between here.
Wait till I come round. Start bringing it in. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Bring it in, bring it in. Bring it in.
Alright, we're off.
Ease the main out. Yeah, that just picked us up a bit.
Yeah, that's six knots.
Could have been a bit of extra wind too.
Now you just can't beat Sydney Harbour on a beautiful March afternoon, you know, light southerly wind on the day, and you know I can't help but thank my great mate Ron Lilburn from Liquid Edge Sailing Charters. Now Ron runs courses in Balmain at Mort Bay there at Liquid Edge, and I'm going to put a link in my description because you just can't imagine what a great fella this is. He's a champion and a really good mate. Good on you, buddy. Thanks.
So, John, what do you think of the afternoon?
Oh, very pleasant.
It's been pretty good, eh? What do you reckon, Hi?
Yeah, very good.
Pretty good fun?
Very good fun.
Good start. So what brings you here? Why are you here? Do you love sailing or is it Ron? It's not Ron, is it?
Maybe Ron. Maybe Ron.
Sailing's pretty good, but Ron's alright. He's not a bad fella, is he?
He's not I'm happy to be with him, you know.
You're happy with him?
I'm happy to be with him.
Yeah, so he does know what he's doing, but he tends to yell at us, doesn't he?
Well,
You guys ganging up?
Most skippers shout, don't they?
I think the idea is not to shout, but he does a good job given that I'm a total numpty at this. I think he's all right.
No, you've got to shout, otherwise it's not sailing.
People don't know you're serious if you're not shouting.
Yeah.
Indeed, that is so
Wind on the
true.
nose.
Yep.
Bring the sails in. Come on.
I love this. Got to push it in.
No, you've still got to give me room.
There he goes. He's not gonna.
You can't push me into the bloody hole. Right, there's the sails out, boys. Just keep an eye on your sails. Keep an eye on the feel of the boat.
I'm losing it here, mate.
Yeah, it's deep behind us.
We're losing it.
That's why a traveller needs to be all the way out.
What? That I love you?
Yeah.
Oh, you know I love
I
you.
got another guy actually, Chinese.
He loves you.
And he says, I love you, and then he gives me a hug. Stop it.
Am I not allowed to hug you?
Stop it.
Well, that was one of the nicest afternoons to come last, but it was cool. We only just came last.
A couple of things, if we didn't let this go
Yeah,
2-3 times,
yeah.
we would have come third last.
And we got caught up on the cleats on the mast with the Genoa because we haven't used a Genoa before, so that that's racing.
Yeah, but that's getting to know
Yep,
what we've got to do.
getting to know you. Yeah, we've got a problem jib, haven't we, Janet?
Sticks all the time.
Well, that was a pretty nice arvo. Beautiful afternoon. We didn't win. We certainly didn't. We didn't achieve. We had a couple of little hiccups, but you know, great afternoon, great learning experience. If you can get a chance to get out on one of these things and race, it really hones your skills. I reckon I learnt more this afternoon than I've learnt in the last 2 years of sailing. It's amazing when you move one of these big things around and racing from point to point and buoy to buoy, how much you can really pick up, especially when you're with someone that has a bit of experience. And a couple of hairy moments, but we got there. Where this is the Anzac Bridge behind me here, Glebe Island Bridge, and over the back here is Multi-Hull Solutions in Sydney Harbour here. So we're anchored up. We're going to go and have a barbie and hopefully have a beer. And I think you know, we'll call that a good day. 080 Ron's.
No docking hitches.
That's it, perfect. That'll do. That's probably been in the ocean about 2 weeks. That is amazing. Look at it. Is it a go bike? Like a hire bike?
Yeah.
Wow,
so.
what a waste, eh?
I
Oz bike, O bike.
I saved one from the river.
Did ya? Oh, what a beautiful scene.
So we had 6 boats start and 6 boats finish, which was and coming in 6th was better than shares.
Woo!
And you're back here for a barbie, so it's all working really well.
Look at that.
Looking at the bird.
A beautiful night for a drive. Look at this. That's the Anzac Bridge. It's time to start tabbing in my bulkheads. I've got the majority of the under the waterline bulkheads filleted in, and to tab them in I'm going to use 2 layers of 600 double bias cloth. Now I have boxes of offcuts that I've been saving for years, and in fact the last year and a half while I've been doing the hull, every time I've had an offcut I've thrown it in a box like this, and I need 200mm tape. Now I can go and buy tape. What I've done is I've been carefully rolling them as I've had excess when I've been doing the flat sheet or when I've been doing any excesses, and then I can cut these down to 200mm wide, and that's going to be a perfect size for the tabbing of all my bulkheads. Now I've probably got enough to do I don't know, probably half of them, but it saves me going and buying a roll of tape, which can be around 80 to 100 bucks a roll for, 50 meters of it. So not worth throwing out any excess. Keep it, and there's always going to be a use for it. I even keep chopped strand if it's clean and if it's in good condition. That has saved me a lot of money in the long run, but it's a bit of an effort, but it also means we're having less environmental impact as well.
So this 600 double bias, I set up my table with a 200mm wide and a 300mm wide line, and I use my cutting table to make sure that I got the almost dead accurate pieces of tape. Now you'll notice also I'm using peel ply now. I cut that at 300mm, and what that meant was it would overlap the actual taper of the bulkhead tabbing when I came to do it. So the next episode is going to have that in, and I'll see you then. And don't forget to give it a like and subscribe away. Thanks guys, bye.